The morning air was crisp, sharp as a blade. Winter had not yet come, but the cold whispered its promise. At daybreak, 20 riders set forth from Winterfell. Among them, a boy, 7 years old, small upon his pony, Bran Stark. Today, he would witness justice. The distant cry of a raven. They rode for hours, until they came upon an old holdfast in the hills, and there, waiting for them, was a man, his hands bound, his body frail, a deserter, a man of the Night's Watch, who had broken his sacred vow. Bran had heard the old tales whispered by firelight, of wild men beyond the wall, slayers, thieves, monsters. But this man did not look like a monster. He looked afraid. Bran's father, Lord Eddard Stark, sat tall upon his great warhorse. His voice, when it came, was steady as steel. In the name of Robert of House Baratheon, first of his name, King of the Undles and the first men, I sentence you to die. Bran swallowed hard. Beside him, his older brother Jon leaned in, his voice barely a whisper. Hold your pony steady, and don't look away. Father will know if you do. The great sword cuts through the air. One stroke. The blade, Valyrian steel, did not hesitate. A splash of red upon the white snow. The head rolled, stopping near Theon Greyjoy's feet. Theon only laughed, kicked it aside like a fallen stone. Ass, Jon muttered under his breath. Bran did not speak. His hands were cold. He had not looked away, but something inside him had changed. The deserter died bravely, Robb Stark said, his voice steady. At least he had courage. But Jon Snow only shook his head. No, he murmured. That was not courage. He was dead of fear. You could see it in his eyes. Bran rode in silence, lost in thought. He had seen those eyes too, and he was still thinking of them when his father rode up beside him. Are you well, Bran? Yes, father. But he wasn't sure. He hesitated, then spoke. Robb says the man died bravely. Jon says he was afraid. His father's answer was quiet, but firm. What do you think? Bran thought for a moment, then asked, can a man still be brave if he's afraid? His father looked down at him, and for the first time, Bran saw something different in his eyes. That is the only time a man can be brave. A voice rang through the trees. Father. Bran. Come quickly. Jon's call was urgent. Bran and his father followed, their horses cutting through the snow. There, on the riverbank, stood Robb. In his arms, something small, something alive. Jory Castle, the captain of the guard, reached for his sword. Gods. Robb, step away. But Robb did not move. He looked up, his breath misting in the cold. She can't hurt you. She's dead, Jory. A hush falls over the men, half buried in the blood-stained snow. A giant beast lay frozen in death. A massive direwolf. Its jaws still open in a silent snarl. It's a direwolf, Jon said. They grow larger than the other kind. There hasn't been a direwolf south of the wall in 200 years, Theon scoffed. I see one now, Jon replied. Bran barely heard them. His eyes had found something else, something smaller, nestled in the snow. Not one, not two, but 5. 5 direwolf pups. A pause. The soft whimper of newborn wolves. Direwolves in the realm, after so many years, Jory muttered. It's a sign. His father frowned, but said nothing. Then, he knelt beside the mother's corpse. Beneath her jaw, something jutted from her throat. A broken antler, snapped, and wet with blood. A wolf, killed by a stag. The men shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke. Bran did not understand why they looked afraid, but he felt it. They were nearly home when Jon stopped. He turned his horse sharply, listening. Can't you hear it? Bran frowned. He could hear the river, the wind in the trees. But Jon heard something else. He galloped back toward the body of the direwolf. A moment later, he returned. In his arms, something small. One last pup. Not gray like the others. This one was white, an albino. Its fur, pale as snow. Its eyes, red as blood. Theon scoffed. This one will die even faster than the others. Jon's voice was quiet, but cold as the northern wind. I think not, Greyjoy. He looked down at the pup in his arms. This one belongs to me. Bran held his pup close. It was warm against his chest. His first lesson in justice was over. But something else had begun. A direwolf had returned to the north. And soon, winter would follow.